Please don't fear me, because I know what.
What's up, guys? It's Mr. Narius T here with a deck tech. Now, this is a deck that was recommended to me by someone in the Popper subreddit, and I have to say, good job, right on. He pointed me in a very good direction. I really like this deck. It's a very skill intensive, very challenging deck, but it's so rewarding when it works, and it really makes me want to play it more, so I get really good with it. But let's get right into it. Now, this deck is a Tortured Existence based deck. I called it Abzan Solar Flare. I think a lot of people call it that, and it just harkens back to when Sun Titan was in Standard and the Solar Flare deck was going around, and I really enjoyed that deck, so I built this one. Now, right in the beginning, we have Journey to Nowhere, a 2-cost white enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature. When it leaves the battlefield, it return the exile card to the battlefield under its owner's control. It's an Oblivion Ring. It's great. Premier white removal. I really like this card as a removal slot. And then we have a playset of Core Skyfisher. 2/3 for 2 flying, very good cost, but when it enters the battlefield, you have to return a permanent you control in your owner's hand, and we use that for our advantage. We allow it to gain us value instead of losing us value. So what did we do? We return things like Abundant Growth to draw a card, Satyr Wayfire to find land, things like that allow us to just get value out of it. Then we have Lone Missionary, a 2/1 for 2, enters battlefield, you gain 4 life, and in this deck, gaining life is a very important factor to it, and we'll get to that in a second. Then we have an Auramancer, 2/2 for 3. Someone has started a chat with me, but I'll check that out in a second. Then we have Auramancer, 2/2 for 3. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. That allows us to get Tortured Existence, which is the key card in this deck, back in case we had put it into the graveyard. Then we have Fume Spitter, a 1/1, sack it, put a -1/1 counter on target creature. Very good. It allows us to get problematic elves and things of that nature. Then we have 4 Tortured Existence. It is an enchantment, pay 1 black, discard a creature card, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This is the engine that makes the deck run, and it runs fabulously. It allows us to rebuy some of the stuff that we use and get more value out of it, and it's very powerful. Then we have 3 Crypt Rats, a 1/1 for 3, pay X, Crypt Rats. Crypt Rats deals X damage to each creature and each player. Spend only black mana on X, and this allows you to burn people out of the games, and this is why we have life gain cards in the deck. It allows us to use this as kind of a black fireball and field wipe at the same time. It's very powerful in this deck, and I really enjoy it. Then we have Stinkweed Imp. It's something that helps get our graveyard turn on. It helps drive the engine. It's a Dredge 5, 1/2 for 3 flying, Death Touch, and just the 1/2 for 3 flying is not bad if you just have to play it, especially when it has Death Touch, though you're never really happy playing it. Then we have 2 Gurmag Anglers. This card literally warped Popper. It is a 5/5 for 7, but it has Delve. And in this deck and many decks that run it, you usually pay 1 black mana, and it's your finisher. It's your big threat. They have to answer it, or they're usually dead. So right after that, we have 4 Abundant Growths. It is a card that, since we can only spend black mana for Crypt Rats, it allows our non-black sources to become black sources, and it replaces itself. So we can return it with Core Skyfisher to keep drawing cards if we need to. So it's just one of those things that gives this deck a little bit more play, and I really like it for those interactions alone. I say really a lot. I understand. It's kind of annoying. I'm sorry. Then we have Commune with the Gods. It's a 2-cost sorcery. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card or enchantment card from among them into your hand. Put the rest in the graveyard. It helps drive our engine, and it helps find key cards like the Tortured Existence, or Crypt Rats when we need it, or Journey to Nowhere when we need it, or Satyr Wayfire when we need to draw lands. So I really think it's a powerful card in this deck, and it saw Standard play when it was in Standard, so in the Tasigur based Reanimator deck, so it's a very good card. Then we have 4 Satyr Wayfinders. It's a 2-cost 1/1 that allows you to look at the top 4 cards of your library, put a land among them into your hand, put the rest in your graveyard. So it allows us to make our land drops and starts cranking up the engine. It's a good card to have in the deck. But just in case we're losing too much land to our dredges or our communes, we have Tilling Treefolk, a 1/3 for 3, enters the battlefield, return target 2 land cards from your graveyard to your hand. So it allows us to just keep making our land drops. We need a lot of land on the battlefield to do what we need to do, and these 5 cards allow us to make sure we keep hitting those. Then we have 3 Golgori Brown Scales, another dredger, but when you dredge it back to your hand from the graveyard or Tortured Existence it back, you gain 2 life. So it allows us to keep gaining life to stay in the game until we can either kill them or they finally kill us. It just gives us a little bit more of sustainability, and I really think it's a great dredger to have. Then we have Arrogant Worm. It is a 4/4 for 5 with trample, but it has Madness 3, which is why it's in the deck. It allows us to, when we discard to Tortured Existence, we exile it and pay its madness cost to cast it. There's a blue-green Madness deck running around that runs these and Basking Root Wallers, and Madness is very, very powerful, as it turns our downside of Tortured Existence of having to pitch a creature card, and I say downside very lightly and in quotations, and turns it into getting a creature and then getting a creature back. So it's a very, very good card to have, but we only really need one of them. We don't want our hand too full with these. So then after that we have the land base. We have 3 Evolving Wilds, 5 Forest, 4 Jungle Hollows, 2 Plains, 4 Scoured Banks, 5 Swamp. The land base has a lot of entered battlefield tap lands, but with a 3-color deck in Pauper, you're going to have that a lot. So, and there are fast decks in Pauper, but they're not as fast as other formats. So these really allow you to play these lands with almost impunity. And since the tapped lands I have gain us 1 life, it also helps with the deck's overall theme. So that's it for the main board. Now let's go into the sideboard. We have an Erishan's Cleric. Enters battlefield, gain 3 life. You bring these against the aggressive matchups. It's a very good blocker at a 1/3 for 2. So it enters, you gain 3 life, and it kind of ends up saving you a little more than that with its blocking ability. Then we have Circle from Protection Red. It's a 2-cost enchantment. Pay 1. In the next time a red source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. So it blanks mono red decks or decks that use Kiln Fiend, stuff like that. It allows you to just say, no, you don't get to deal damage with me. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day. And it's gentlemanly about it. You don't destroy their creature. It stays around. So why are they having a problem with it? Then we have another Journey to Nowhere for those decks that have creatures that we just cannot allow to stay on the battlefield. But right under that, we have one of the more interesting cards in the sideboard, and I really like this card. I've grown to love it with playing this deck. It's a 2/4 for 4 Coalition Honor Guard. Now, its ability: while choosing targets as part of a casting spell or activating an ability, your opponents must choose at least 1 Flag Bearer on the battlefield if able. And Flag Bearer is a creature type, and luckily it is a Flag Bearer. So what this card comes in against is the decks that use pump spells and auras and things of that nature that really give them advantage for casting and targeting their own creatures, like the heroic matchup and things like that. And when this card enters the battlefield, they no longer can do that because they have to target your honor guard. So their brute forces, their titan strengths, their madcap skills, their armadillo cloaks, when the Bant hexproof, or not Bant, the green-white hexproof comes in, and all those now have to target this creature. So it either makes them where they don't cast it and have to answer that creature first, or it just makes it to where their hand's absolutely useless. So I very, very much appreciate this being available for us for the sideboard. Then we have 3 Dead Blades, just a 1-cost creature removal. It's an enchantment that gives a creature -2/-2, but usually we use it as just a removal, kind of a disfigure type effect. Then we have 3 Fairy Macabres, or Macabre, sorry. 2/2 flying for 3, but it has discard, exile up to 2 cards from graveyard. This is coming against the Mystical Teaching based deck, the decks that you run their graveyard. Like in the mirror match, I'd be bringing this back in. So as soon as those Crypt Ghast hit the battle, Crypt Rats, God, I love Crypt Ghast, and I wish it could be in this deck, but it's a rare, so damn, it'd be so good in this deck. It allows us to get like in the mirror match, get their crypt rats out of here. Get their tortured existence out if they end up hitting it. Get any problematic thing out of the graveyard. So I really like the fact that even in the most non-interactive matchups, we still have interactions. Like the Mystical Teaching deck, we can get rid of their Mystical Teachings when they do it and not have enough to flashbacks, stuff like that. Then we have Moment's Peace for the really aggressive matchups like the Elves and the creature-based ones. Prevent 2-cost Fog, prevent all combat damage with flashback for 3, so it allows us to buy 2 extra turns, which can be very, very important. Wicker Bow Elder, enters the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it. Pay 1 green, remove that counter, destroy target artifact enchantment. It comes in against affinity or things with problems and enchantments. I don't even think I need to say it. Then right after that we have the premier artifact destruction that we have. It is Qasali's Pride Mage. Now this card has seen play in Modern. I believe it had some in Legacy and a Maverick type deck. So this card is worth its 2 mana. It's a 2/2 for 2 green and white. It is worth its salt. It has Exalted, which when you attack alone, it gets +1/+1. Pay 1, sack it, destroy target artifact enchantment. And this is very, very nice for this deck, is that we can rebuy it with the Tortured Existence to make sure that we get rid of every really problematic artifact or enchantment. Well, that's it for the deck tech. Most of you probably already, who play Pauper, already know this deck. It's a very popular deck, and it's very, very skill intensive. I would encourage you to pick it up if you are willing to put the time in to become good with it. It's not one of the decks that you can play a handful of matches with and be really good at. It has so many intricacies, so many lines of play, so many decisions that you really need to dedicate time to it. And if you're willing to do that, it's going to pay you back so well, and that it's very, very hard to be a skilled player in this deck, playing this deck. And if that's what you want to do, if that's a deck you want, if you want to choose a deck that this is my Pauper deck, this is a deck I'm going to play come hell or high water, screw the metagame, this is a deck that I can definitely get around because it's going to be powerful, and no matter what meta it's going to be in. Well, that's it for today. Please like, subscribe, favorite. It really, really helps, and you guys have been so awesome. Every comment I've got, even the criticism, has been so great. You guys are extremely cool, extremely supportive, and I have to just say thank you. But until next time, have a great day. See ya!